Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I thought today we'd have a look at this tree. Now this tree has a story, and rather than me tell the story in this video, what I'll do is I'll put an info card up. So coming up in the top right hand corner is the first video of this tree when I brought it home. It's a Yamadori, a collected tree that was pulled out of the ground. No help, no nothing, I just yanked it and came home, and we did a video of me initially potting it up and doing some initial styling. So that info card, top right hand corner now. Right, if you've been away, welcome back. And if you haven't, then you won't know the story of this tree so far. The tree came home. I basically did some initial wiring. Now what we've had since then is a lot of needle drop. It's still going on. Initially when I started to see this needle drop, it's mainly old needles at the end of the day, so it's not the end of the world, but at first I thought, that's it, the tree hasn't made it. Because it had so few roots, I thought it's actually dying, it's not going to make it. And then on closer inspection, so I'm just getting the old needles off, there's no point leaving them there, they serve no purpose now. And you often find where old needles come off, you might get a bud. You never know your luck. I mean, some people actually pull off green needles with the hope of getting some buds, and it does work sometimes. Doesn't always work though. So sometimes you're removing needles, which basically, if you think about it, that's the needles are the solar panel for the tree. That's what feeds the tree. So pulling good green needles off needs to be done with care. You need to know exactly what you're doing. All you're doing is reducing the tree's ability to photosynthesize. Now that process can be done as a way of restricting energy into certain parts of the tree, or even the whole tree. So it does serve a purpose, but you need to know what you're doing. I wouldn't profess to know exactly what I'm doing in that arena. I always go along the lines, if the needles are green, they're there for a reason, and most of the time I would leave them as such. But just removing these dead needles like this is improving the look of the tree no end. So what a tree that looked like it was dying suddenly doesn't. If you think about it, yeah, what you first saw was a tree with lots of yellow and brown needles, and as I go around fiddling like this, they're gradually disappearing. Slowly but surely we're getting rid of them. So now the view of the tree doesn't look so bad. But what was the important thing, what I wanted to sort of say, is that what's happening, what's made me change my mind about the fact the tree's not dying, is the candles. The candles are pushing on. They're not pushing on at a rate of knots, and for the time of year they are late, but they are pushing on. We've now got growth, yeah? And as those needles push on, candles push on, they will open up and give this tree a lot more energy on the grounds that they will become part of the solar panel of the live needles. So it's not dying at all. It's actually going to be okay. It's going to make it. And the fact that these needles candles are pushing on implies that it's actually grown some roots, because it certainly didn't have many when it was potted up. Well, as I said, it was just yanked out of the ground. Now I'm moving it. The problem is, because it got potted relatively quickly, one reason was I didn't want the roots to dry out, it didn't get potted at the right angle for the pot. I mean, that I believe is the front view. I mean, I've dropped this branch down a bit. The individual parts of this branch can be dealt with at a later date. This was only a rough styling. It wasn't meant to be perfect by any means. It was just an idea of how the tree could look. but I wanted to get some form into the main branches so that they weren't dead straight, which is how they were when I got it basically. I mean, this branch here has got a very, very thick piece of wire on it, so it is capable of gaining quite a bit of movement. But I don't want to go too mad. So it was an initial styling, which I'm reasonably pleased with, but unfortunately it's not in the right angle for the pot, because obviously we should be looking at the tree, you know, it's an oval pot, you're supposed to look at the long side of the oval pot, not the short side. But next time it gets potted or repotted, that can be sorted out. It's not the end of the world. It's not meant to be a good bonsai yet. It's just a tree that came out of the ground in its first year with its initial styling. That's all it's ever going to be at the moment. So I'm just making some minor adjustments while I'm looking at it. So that's how it's going to be. Now this leader up here, I hope that's on camera, it might be off the top. Let me just lift the camera slightly. I want to make sure you can see the top of the tree. I'm having a job seeing the screen at the moment because it's so bright in here. The top of the tree has got 4 candles on that are pushing on quite hard. And under normal circumstances, you'd look at this long straight bit and do something with it. Or you'd think, shall I make one of these two the main lead and get some more taper into the trunk? There's choices in this area, but what I want to do is get this tree to gain energy. You know, it's had a hell of a shock, basically, being yanked out of the ground, stuck in a totally different media to what it was growing in. Very poor roots, it's had a shock. So what I want it to do is gain strength, and the way for it to gain strength is to grow. So the way to let it grow is to leave the candles on, basically, for now. We can think about this apex another time, but to get 4 strong growths up here, you could say you're drawing the sap into the wrong part of the tree. But then at the moment, I want as much needle cover on this tree as I can possibly get. These candles are pushing on. They're not as strong as these. So to try and balance the tree a little bit, I am going to take these back. So I'm hoping that this will, I'm not going to take them off, I'm just going to take them back. So we'll take the 2 largest ones back a bit. So hopefully that will now redistribute some of the energy into the tree. We've got multiple candles in places where I wouldn't normally leave them. You know, you've got 3 coming out the end here. Well, you'd normally take the middle one out and keep 2. Well, at the moment I want needles. And the only way to get new needles on this tree is to let the candles grow. So that's just a quick update on this one. And it's made a right mess in here with needles all over the place. But it certainly looks a lot tidier now with the dead needles taken off. Yeah? I think you'd agree with that. So it looks a little bit more like a tree that's being looked after rather than neglected. But it's its first year. That was an initial styling. I was expecting some needle drop. But as I said, when I first looked at this and gave it a good close look, I thought it's dying. I thought that's it, it's gone, there wasn't enough roots, it can't cope. But it's going to make it, you know. Get these candles pushed on, get these needles to open out, and get some more greenery on the tree. In turn will push the roots. So I think it's going to be okay. And, you know, for a sort of yanked out of the ground tree, it hasn't got a bad form. You know, we've got our lowest branch here. That can possibly come forward a bit more. Then we've got our second branch, our third branch. This branch is destined to go around the back a bit, but I didn't want to push my luck too soon. So this will give it some depth. And then we've got a back branch here, and then we come round to our front branches. It's not bad. And as these branches fill out and the pads become more dense, which should happen reasonably easily because of the number of side branches and candles that I've already got. So next year we can push some back budding on these branches by dealing with the candles as they come out next year. Anyway, quick update on that one. In my set of Scots pine, this is classed as the small one. There's a medium one, which was another pine that was collected this year, and then my large one is my lightning strike, the one I've had a very long time. But I think for a first year, this is going to look reasonable once these needles open up. So there we go, quick update. See you next time. You've had your info card at the beginning, which shows this one, you know, when I brought it home. If you're interested in the other one that I collected effectively around a similar time at the beginning of this year, sort of April this year, I did actually dig that one up rather than yank it out of the ground, so it has got a slightly better root system on it. But I took a different approach with that one. If you're interested in having a look at that one, that video will come up as an end screen as this video comes to a close. And thanks for dropping by. If you're not already subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. This is a young channel. It's only been running a very short time, and I would like to get up to YouTube's magic 1,000 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Sounds phenomenal, doesn't it? 4,000 hours spent watching my videos. There's a thing. But I'm over 2,000 watch hours now, so I'm over halfway. That's not bad. And I'm up to 670-ish subscribers, so again, well over half of what I need. So progress is good. But anybody watching can help. If you're not subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. Do the old thumbs up. It helps YouTube see the channel as a likeable channel that's growing. And as I said, it's all good stuff, and every hour watched on the channel goes into that watch hour total. So thanks for dropping by. See you next time.